I still worry about a little bit of an older bullpen. The experience should show up, but it's 7-month season if you make the playoffs. That's a lot for 36, 37-year-old guys. It was great to see Len and DJ in the booth the other day, so they're back at work. DJ has the best big in baseball, right?
Yes, he does.
My God. No, he's the best. But, yeah, it's those play-by-play gigs are fun, man. Come out to the sun in Arizona, watch a few innings of baseball, and then head out for dinner. I guess my life's no different, right?
It's the same, especially if the dinner's free, because you are the fastest man in Northbrook to dash out of the restaurant when the bill is due.
So true.
So nonetheless, Jesse, I want to ask you about the White Sox. I told you last week that I'm resigned to my fate. I understand what's going on with this White Sox team, that you were at rock bottom, and so I expect improvement this year. Not much, but some improvement. What were you able to understand from the White Sox standpoint? And so the way they played and what they're talking about in spring training?
Well, I was in attendance when Colson Montgomery hit his first spring homer the other day. Those are the things they're talking about. Noah Schultz and Hagen Smith are going to make their debuts on Wednesday. Maybe by the time they make it to the majors, they'll have a new owner, over on the White Sox South side. Because, this is a long-term project. Now, of course, Hagen Smith and Noah Schultz will be here sooner than Jerry Sells probably. But the point is, you're starting to see some things. None of this was there last year. None of it. Even Montgomery didn't have a great year in the minors. Now he has a clear path to having that job. I saw that homer Saturday, like I said, against the Cubs. There's things there. It's just going to take time, like it does with any rebuilding team. So we'll see. And then, of course, unlike the last rebuild, you have to spend money eventually. And we saw that Jerry didn't do that to finish off the last rebuild. But that's years away from happening. At least they have some talent.
Is there any word about that piece from The Athletic from John Greenberg? I know the Ishbias has been rumored around the White Sox for a while, but the Ishbias leave the Twins jilted at the altar, and so the Twins are scrambling. But any talk in Arizona about the Ishbias?
Yes, a little bit at least. I don't know a ton more than the article, but I will tell you a couple things. This was always, the outcome the league thought would happen, and what I'm getting at is no one really believed, one, Dave Stewart had enough money to buy the Sox, or two, that he was going to buy the Sox and they would actually move. That just seemed like a fake story. I'm not saying it was parts of it weren't true.
It was contrived, Jess.
Yeah, exactly. None of it was going to happen. This, a local billionaire buying from Jerry in a few years, taking control and keeping it in Chicago, probably with a new stadium, all the things that come with the Ishbias, that was always what the league thought was going to happen, and it seems like it will. I don't think a billionaire drops a bid of another team for no reason, right? It'd be one thing if he came out of the blue and started buying up the Sox stake, Sox parts, and Jerry said no or something, but he dropped his bid for another team. So there's got to be a succession plan in place in my mind. That's a few years away, but I think he did it for a reason, not just a whim. Let's put it that way.
Jesse, in terms of the state of Chicago baseball, we've been talking about the Ishbia thing this morning. On the north side, I did a lot of work on the TV deal, and Sinclair's got financial issues, which affects Marquee, which affects the Cubs. What are you hearing about their appetite for adding significant salary in season if they're in first place in July like they should be?
I think if they had signed Bregman, it would have been really tight to do it. So the counter to not signing Bregman is they do have some powder, some. And Tom has always been a little bit open to being, convinced of something, and he almost got convinced of Bregman, right? He's been convinced of other things. He's not been convinced of some things. So I do think if they're in first place, I think there'll be enough to do what they have to do. I can't tell you that for sure. We'll see how all this TV stuff plays out and how the first half goes. But Tom has never denied a chance to do something special in the moment. Now, if they're in first place by 10 games, he might say, well, I'm not spending any more money. We're going to make the playoffs anyway. And maybe he felt that way about Bregman. We're good enough to make the playoffs in this division. Why am I going to spend another $120 million or whatever?
Because you're trying to win the freaking World Series, man.
That's right. But I've talked to you about him before. He kind of doesn't see the Dodgers and he doesn't see the Yankees. He sees the division. I think he sees the division. Anyway, I do think there'll be some money available, but everything's fluid. You don't know what the landscape's going to look like. And the fact they didn't sign Bregman certainly allows for a little bit more wiggle room come July.
Looking at the Cubs, I remember last year we were talking about Craig Counsell. And, Jesse, you told us you felt like Craig Counsell was observing in year one, seeing who can play for him, who can't. So is there any difference in Counsell from what you've been around from the last couple of days, just as far as his attack, his attitude about year two with the Cubs?
I think so. I do feel it. I think if you asked other media people, they would as well. He's what you would imagine in year two, a little bit looser, a little bit more free-flowing with conversations, whether it be media or players. He is more of a team that he likes, and what I'm getting at is it's become a very athletic team in a lot of ways. All the sort of minor signings they've made, all guys with speed, whether it be the backup John Birdie. Now, I shouldn't say all. That Justin Turner's not going to run, but a lot of the guys. It's more in the image that he had in Milwaukee. It's still not the biggest power team out there. So I think he likes the makeup better. I think his communication's better. He's looser. So, yeah, you would think whatever makes Craig Counsell special is going to show up a lot more in year two. I think I said to you guys last week they're older. Well, I looked it up. Right now they're the second oldest team in the league. Luckily, it's
the league being the national or the whole MLB?
I believe it's the majors. If I remember, I looked it up correctly. I believe it's all of the majors. The second oldest team in the league. Now, Turner brings that up. A couple other guys really bring it up. But it's not the frontline guys other than Presley that are older. It's not like left field is 38 years old and right field's 38. So it's a lot of the backups, which means they won't get worn down. So hopefully what I'm getting at is it's a very good mix of experience that's on the bench that can help out both in the dugout and on the field when called upon, and then younger players who can run. They are going to run this year more than ever, headlined by PCA, who's looked good in camp so far. So all that is, I think, the Craig Counsell sort of formula, Jay Hood, in addition to him he just seems looser. He really does.
In terms of looking at the team, albeit through 4 spring training games and some workouts, whenever I go there, I know Hoodie has done this when he watches a team, goes, okay, that's an issue, but I love that. What do you love about this team, the Cubs, and what do you look at and go, I don't know, man, that's a weakness?
I'm still worried about the bullpen. I mentioned the ages just a minute ago. There's older guys. Ryan Presley made his debut yesterday. He gave up some runs. I actually talked to him afterwards. He says he's going to be ready for mid-March. I feel like he's got to think about April, May, June, July, than Japan, though he told me he's going to try to be ready for back-to-back in Tokyo. I can't believe Counsell will use him there. I still worry about a little bit of an older bullpen. With age comes experience, so there's the good and the bad. So I still worry about it, though the experience should show up. But it's 7-month season if you make the playoffs. That's a lot for 36, 37-year-old guys. So I still wonder about the bullpen a little bit. The backups are much better than I thought they'd be. I mean, we haven't really seen Justin Turner, but everyone says he can still hit. He hit last year. I mean, you can look old at any moment, but he still has that tool in him. Kevin Alcantara, the guy they got from Rizzo years ago, looks great. Looks absolutely great. We don't talk about size enough in baseball. I love big guys. The Yankees traditionally have always had big guys on the mound and around the diamond. The Cubs have not. I mean, this version of the Cubs, the 16 version did. But look around the Cubs diamond. They're small guys. Kevin Alcantara is the one guy with size. So whether it be Turner, Alcantara, even John Birdie, I do like their backups better. They completely overhauled, Cap. The Miles Mastrobonis are gone. They completely overhauled. So I'd say I like their backups. I still worry about their bullpen.
Give us a diamond note, Jesse, something you haven't told anyone else. Give us a little a nugget. You've been on there. It could be non-Cubs and Sox. It could just a little nugget, a diamond note.
Okay, well, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I was at their camp, but I think Terry Francona is going to be a difference maker in Cincinnati. I know that's not going out on a
Gordon.
limb. I know.
He called you Wittenmeyer. What the hell?
Yeah.
No, tell us about Tito. Tito, tell us about Francona.
Just he pushes buttons the right way. I saw it at camp there. He just, the great ones. You guys know this. It's not innings 1 through 9, even though we analyze it to death. This move, that move. They all make good moves. They all make bad moves during the game. They just do. You can't pick one guy out that's so great and one guy that's so bad during the game. It's before and after games. It's all those conversations. I think Tito is a master communicator, self-deprecating. I think he's going to be a difference maker in Cincinnati. I saw moments while I was at camp where you could just tell his communication individually can be a difference maker. And he explained a couple of them, just talking to players. He told one of the guys, like, look, I'm not going to embarrass you out there. I'm not going to do that. I want you to play first. I don't want to embarrass you, though. But so it's okay if you don't. And then 3 days later, the player came back. I'm in. Like, just like he has a way about himself that just inspires and lifts people, and that's why he's been so good. And sometimes it takes a second or third stop. Like, Joe Torre wasn't great in his first stop. Francona was, but you learn and you adapt, and we'll see. He's out of retirement. He's back, and I think he's going to be a difference maker.
By the way, do you know where you were 9 years ago tomorrow?
9 years ago tomorrow? Mm-hmm. I mean, I was here in Arizona. I know that. But at the Mission with you guys?
Nope. You were standing on the field next to my friend Ryan McGuffey when Dexter Fowler walked onto the field.
It was 9 years ago tomorrow?
Yes.
Wow. First of all, that's a long time. And I guess I didn't remember that it was this late in February when he showed up. I thought it was sooner, but it was that late, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that was quite the day. I don't think anybody's ever seen it.
You were on the air with me, I believe.
Yeah, I think I was walking. I do remember I was walking towards the practice field with Mark Gonzalez of the Tribune, and in front of us, walking very quickly, is Theo and this tall black guy. And I'm like, from behind, I'm like, wait a minute, is that Dexter Fowler? And it was. And I'm like, holy crap, because everybody was talking about him signing with the Orioles. And I'm like, oh, my God, he's back. And, and then it just was crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, they either had to be Fowler or Jason Goff, and you weren't sure which one. So good for you that you were able to decipher which one was which.
Well, it was from behind. I'm like, wait a minute, who is that? Looks like Dexter Fowler. And I'm just like, you know how a guy walks and whatever. And I'm like, it is amazing. Yeah, it was fun. That was a fun day.
As always, Jesse, we appreciate the time.
All right, boys, take care.
See you, Jess.
Jesse Rogers.